Late one night in Baghdad, the supreme ruler of the Islamic Empire glances out his palace window and sees something impossible. His private, strictly guarded garden pavilion is blazing with the light of 80 candles. Furious at this intrusion, Caliph Harun al-Rashid doesn't send his guards. Instead, he dresses in the ragged clothes of a fisherman and slips into the shadows of his own estate to investigate. Inside, he finds his strict, supposedly devout caretaker completely drunk. Sitting across from him are two trespassers, a young man and a striking woman playing the lute. The disguised caliph praises the music. The young man, without a second thought, smiles and offers the woman to the fisherman as a gift. Baffled by a trespasser casually giving away a highly educated companion to a stranger in rags, the caliph demands to know how they ended up waiting for a death sentence in a forbidden royal garden. The young man, Noureddin, explains that his story begins downriver in Balsora. His father, the Grand Vizier, had purchased this incredibly talented slave, known as the Fair Persian, specifically to be formally presented to the king. But Noureddin and the Fair Persian fell deeply in love. They kept their romance a secret inside his mother's quarters, completely defying the royal decree. When his father passed away, Noureddin inherited a massive estate. Instead of managing it, he refused to look at his ledgers, spending his days and his inherited wealth hosting lavish parties for his friends. Within a year, his steward quit in despair. The gold ran dry. When Noureddin went to his supposed friends for help, every single one of them bolted their doors. Shielded by his wealth, Noureddin had ignored the warnings. Stripped of his safety net, he faced a brutal reality, forcing him into the ultimate humiliation to survive, taking the woman he loved to the public slave market. Standing in the public square, a destitute Noureddin puts the Fair Persian up for auction, hoping to raise enough money to start a new life. But the bidding catches the attention of Sawi, a cruel government minister and his late father's bitterest rival. Knowing the history, Sawi tries to purchase the Persian purely out of malice. Noureddin snaps. He drags the powerful minister from his horse, beating him bloody in the street while the crowd watches in shock. Knowing the king will execute him for assaulting a high-ranking official, Noureddin and the Persians secure a quick passage on a ship, fleeing up the Tigris River to Baghdad. Running from their problems offered a temporary reprieve, but wandering aimlessly into the caliph's locked pavilion only swapped a local executioner for an imperial one. Back in the pavilion, the story ends. Moved by their ordeal, the fisherman throws off his disguise, revealing himself as the caliph, promising to settle the score. This document is an imperial decree. The caliph drafts a letter stripping the king of Balsora of his power, installing Noureddin as ruler. But he makes a critical error, handing the letter directly to Noureddin without a courier to verify it. When Noureddin presents this decree to the king in Balsora, Sawi asks to examine it. He secretly tears off the imperial seal, swallows the paper, and declares the document a forgery, immediately throwing Noureddin into a pitch-black dungeon. Without the required verification, a piece of paper is just a piece of paper. Sawi manipulates the bureaucratic process perfectly, weaponizing the caliph's own letter to justify a swift execution. 10 days later, Noureddin is dragged into the public square, bound tightly and surrounded by guards. He awaits the executioner's blade, while his enemy watches from above. Just as the signal is given, the king hesitates. The sudden arrival of Ja'far, the caliph's vizier, tears through the city streets at a full gallop, bringing the absolute authority of Baghdad with him. The tables turn instantly. The vizier orders Noureddin's bonds cut, and in a brutal stroke of imperial justice, Sawi is tied with the exact same ropes to take his place. Offered the throne of Balsora as originally promised, Noureddin makes a surprising choice. He refuses the crown, opting to leave the politics of his hometown behind for a quiet life in Baghdad with the Fair Persian. He recognized the trap of his father's world. True freedom required walking away from the wealth that nearly destroyed him and building a life defined entirely by his own devotion.